Hi folks, it's me again, back after an incredibly long absence with a YouTube video. I don't even think I did one for last year's convention. I was so busy with other stuff. But this time, I really want to share my thoughts on TFNation 2018, the second TFNation convention, following on from several years of auto-assembly as Birmingham-based Transformers conventions. So how did this one hold up compared to the events of the past? Well, the short answer, but means you'd have to watch the rest of this video, is it held up incredibly well. I mean, every year you usually come away between saying, no matter how much you enjoy them, you'll come away saying, what could have been done differently is. Well, in nearly every case, every one of the what could have been done differently is things were addressed during the convention. They found out on the Friday that the panel room was too small for the number of people who wanted to go see the panels. Well, not too small for a podcast panel, sadly, but for things like the Brave panel, you couldn't get everybody in there. Immediately sorted out a new bigger room and reran panels have been affected the next day. Sort of very speedy response to issues. Same with the animated comic, which I don't think they expected to be as popular as it is, as it became, because obviously it involves someone who's worked on official stuff in Jim Sorensen, and an absolute genius in Chris McFeely and some brilliant artists. It's still technically unofficial, so I guess we thought it might not draw that much attention. It did. But when they found out they were going to run out of a limited run they done, bang, everybody's getting a copy no matter what. And that's good because, I'm not an animated fan. Normally I would buy... Well, I'm not an animated fan, I've never watched animated, I have no opinion on it either way. So normally I would support something like that, I did think, I won't get it because I'll be denied someone who really loves this stuff with the chance to own a comic. Now I know there's going to be a copy for everyone, I'll be getting one. And that's even though Chris McFeely told me on Friday when I saw him that it will make no sense if you're not an animated fan. But I'm kind of enjoying delving into that and just enjoying this as a bizarre sensory experience, if nothing else. So on that side of things, everybody was really on the ball. And if there was one sort of theme for this year, it was exhaustion, but in a good way, because everyone I spoke to on the Sunday was absolutely wiped out. I mean, at levels I've never seen before at a convention like this. Normally on Sunday night and Monday morning, come 3 a.m, there's loads of people still in the bar. Everybody gathers for a big, hey, photo of the last survivors. This year, everyone was like, oh, gee, that's good. I'm off to bed now. It's nearly 10 a.m. in the evening, 10 p.m. in the evening. That's a bit late for me. Been a long day. And that's never happened like that before. Everybody was doing so much. Even me, in terms of proper convention activities, I did a lot of sitting in the bar, but having to get running about talking to people and shaking hands and selling books and doing interviews, podcasts, being on podcast panels, that wound up being more draining than any convention I've done before. And I think all the people who sort of were a lot more active than me probably have a lot more better excuse for feeling that way by the end. But it was certainly a full, engaging weekend of activity where everybody was just so happy to be there. The big thing for me was people this year. I got to meet a whole load of people I spoke to online, just people I met in the last year or so. And I got to shake hands with them and, yes, sell the books. I was pumping that book thing hard. But never talked to people as much as I'd like or should have. There was Trans Soundwave on Twitter. I planned to speak to her a fair bit, sort of shake hands, say thanks for having me on your podcast. And I saw her once on the Friday when I got there, when I was so knackered, I was just like, I just got to go sit down for a bit. I had much sleep last night. And I think that was the extent of our conversation, which is a shame because I didn't see her about the rest of the weekend, so I could have made more of an effort there. But that's one of the things, I suppose. There's so many people who don't stop to say hello to. So I saw Umar from the Civil League podcast. I didn't see him at all, as far as I know. That was a shame too. and lots of other people. I think there were people from TMUK I did say hello to, like Prime Nova, I believe was there. So sort of socialising things, both very good and entirely inadequate on my part. There was also, it wasn't just people meeting in the bar and chatting, there was something else going on that weekend, and it was a convention. There was a convention there as well to do with Transformers. And the highlight of the convention for me, by far, was Bob Budiansky being there. The absolute ledge. I've met him before, of course, when he came to London back in 2014, but it's always a pleasure to meet him. He never gets the recognition he deserves, and he's always really good on panels. This is a guy who will be self-effacing about his memories of Transformers, and if you were to ask him who is Skullcruncher, or a question about why Beachcomber turned into a June buggy, he won't remember those details. But if you ask him why something editorially happened, or what was the driving force behind a certain set of creative decisions generally, his memory is really good. He can almost tell you the exact dates things happened. That's so useful, especially with his big box of stuff that he has in his basement for reference as well, which, somebody, I know Jim Sorensen scanned it, the counter models he had for the art book, but there's so much other stuff in there. Somebody go scan it, turn it into a tabletop book, turn it into a website. Christopher Feely, I'm especially looking at you. That is surely your life's work. Do a Kickstarter, we'll all pay for you to go to New York. That's a wonderful thing that's something should be done with to celebrate Bob's work. And I was absolutely delighted to get Megatron's Transformers Universe profile signed, not just by Bob, but by all of the comics writers there, all of whom have done good work with Megatron. Simon Furman, Nick Roach, James Roberts, people who've done the original basic creator of Megatron, even though Budiansky's such a humble man, he'd lay a lot of credit to Jim Shooter for the original Genesis. But yeah, basically the guy who made Megatron and other writers who have built successfully on that original work. So I'm really, and I made that myself, printed it off onto photo paper. That's what that took. But yeah, that's art. I think that's as good a creation as any of the homemade jewellery or comics or fanzines. That's up there. No, okay. But I also got Bob to sign my copy of the convention fanzine on the lovely art that Larry Grawes drew for it, which of course led some mild bafflement on his part. Hey, you wrote this, did you? Because he's always so surprised at the fan interest. And I gave him a copy of Transformation 2. Sadly, I'd run out of copies of Transformation 1 by that point. I think that was one of the surprises of the con for me, that the first book did quite well this year. I could have bought a few more of that. But so I was only able to give him the second one, which is a bit like saying, here you go, Bob, here's your 1-3. You have to go buy the other book yourself if you want it. But I realised as I was explaining the book to him, and he's looking at incredulity, and it's quite a silly idea, isn't it? Writing a big 389-page book about Transformers that's only volume 2 of the series. It also made me realise I have been doing Transformation for longer than he was writing Transformers for now. Where did the time go? There's also some nice feedback, of course, from two other people on the celebrity side. Nick Roach was kind enough to say my book was the best toilet book. And I have to know that Nick Roach has an adequate supply of actual toilet paper, so I'm taking that as a compliment. But the nice thing, because even though I gave him a copy of Transformation 1 2 years ago, I never actually expected him to read it because it'd be a busman's holiday, was finding out that Simon Furman has not only read it, but finds it very useful for stuff, researching stuff, which blew my mind a little. Especially when I found out about it, because when I was talking to Blue Shift from the TMUK forums, just about the book, mainly to sort of hit Matt with a sales pitch for it, really. I was building up to make him buy a copy, so he got away with it there. But I was, as you said, I there got a copy, but I imagine he's never read it. And from my knee came this voice saying, I have read it. And when I looked down, and there was Furman looking through a box of toys. Apparently he bought some Robotech stuff in the end. That was like a wah moment. But it ended quite nicely with me. Incredibly complimentary, which meant a huge amount. In terms of other guests, saw Jeff Senior in the corridor. Not only is he excited about the commission, I've got coming from him later this year. He said nice things about my Target 2006 t-shirt as well, which is makes him walk a bit higher. But Alex Mill seemed in good humour and really cheeky this time. He gave me a good sales pitch for Transformers versus Rom, which I really am going to have to read now because everyone has been telling me how good that comic is. And should I let my insane bias against the Transformers shared universe stop me reading something good? So I'll give that one a shot. Probably tomorrow, when I've got a bit of spare time. Though no, Tom, before watching this, I am not going to read Revolutionaries. Nothing will persuade me to do that. But Alex Mill had my big, I always do something terrible every year, something disastrous. And I did have that with Alex Mill when I bought his sketchbook, which is full of fantastic stuff. If you ever get a chance to get an Alex Mill sketchbook, do. But I put it on the floor right afterwards when I was watching Bob and Yancey panel, just laid out some other stuff in front of me, and a guy came and stood on it and did that to it, including to the really nice, quick little Rodimus sketch that Alex did on there, which is one of my, and of course it was my own fault, I did it on the floor, and the guy did a massive skin on it as well. He thought he'd probably have fallen and broke his neck. But which is more important, one man's neck or his sketchbook? It's a man's neck, of course. You tell people who said the other thing, what are you like? But basically, Mill was very kind when I told him about this the next day, shifted about his bag to see if he had another one. I did have to stop and say, no, please don't, because it's my own fault, be unfair me to get another copy because of that. That was incredibly generous of him to even think of that. So, the content is all fine. There is some lovely stuff there. That's just fun stuff in a random page I've opened. That looks great. So that's lovely. Other sketchbooks got Jack Lawrence's Lost Light Bible, which made it exciting about an Emerald Zalon sketch. Got a bit of Zalon. It's interesting. I never realised quite how artists do their character models. They don't bother doing the entire body. They leave off duplicate legs and limbs, which of course makes sense without it ever occurred to me. So that's quite an interesting little insight into the work here. I believe he's going to be selling this at London Comic Con later this month as well. But if you do get it and you want to be unspoiled, don't look at it till after about issue 12, because there's some potential spoilers about which characters will be showing up in the Mutineers arc in there. And I've got Kay's sketchbook as well, which I'm really happy about, has the art that I would in the Lantern experiment. If I could find it, I know it's in here somewhere. It would be great if I marked pages beforehand. What is it, these things? There we go. So that's hanging in my wall in the other room, but I'm so chuffed she thinks I'm good enough to go in her actual sketchbook. Really happy about that. And with Transformers artists, we have so many great comic book artists, but occasionally you get one who has that Jeff Senior factor. This is the next level. This is somebody who will not be doing Transformers for very long, and she is one of those. We should be enjoying her every pencil stroke until somebody comes up to her and says, here's a pile of cash to come do Judge Dredd for a year, or whatever it is she ends up getting. So she absolutely deserves that next level. In prints from people. I won't show off everyone because I ended up buying a whole load of art this year, but Kevin Gorman's recreation of issue 100 cover. That's on the Toy Foo Store. How absolutely magnificent is that? Andrew Turnbull's Shiny Thunderclash. Ooh. Again, it would have been useful to mark some of these in advance. What is it? I'm nothing if not professional. Can you see why I haven't done one of these for a while? The cover to the Term UK fanzine I wrote the Armada Comics piece for, which Sprites very kindly asked me to sign, which amongst all the other stuff I was signing, or made me almost feel like a celebrity this year. Bit of Nick Roach, can't go wrong with that. Basically swapped that for a copy of book 2 as well. So that's, I think I got a better deal there. Which was one of the nice things about the convention, actually. On the first day, I did basically use the book as currency for a lot of it. So it was quite nice. I think I had more money at the end of that first day than I did at the start, which is almost unheard of. A Sarah Pickford-Rocha print, but I almost certainly said that wrong. Sorry, Sarah. But that's just awesome. Sadly, the commission I was going to have of her wasn't ready, but based on the commissions I did see, which she managed to do, including a really good 2 Ratchets one for my friend Ryan, I'm really going to be looking forward to that coming through a post. And of course, Josh Perez probably would be the Prince thing with the McDonald's boss. Yeah, you can't beat that, can you? You can't. Well, maybe you can, because Bob Badiansky had the covers he drew all available as prints, including Buster Witwicky and the Car Wash of Doom, which is an amazing thing. The other sort of comic-y related thing I got was some more James Roberts scripts. Yay! Which is worth especially noting for the fact that for the cover of issue 51, he got the title wrong. It's not Remaining Light, it's Dying of the Light. Don't you even know that, James? Call yourself a fan. Be ashamed. Follow this, of course, he also has a copy of the book because he's a contributor in it because he did the interview. He's going to find bigger and better typos than that and just keep 5 of them back at me. So I shall just enjoy my brief moment of glory there. But if you ever do see James at a convention, he's selling scripts, buy them. They're just a fantastic guide to structure and how to make a story work and flow, that connects. There's so much good stuff in there. He's a bit hard on himself in those scripts, but because you hear people say, "Oh, no, he's got such an ego for doing this, that, and that." But when you speak to him, you read the script, you realise that he's constantly worried about not being good enough, and he is good enough. It's so annoying. Talented man. In terms of other stuff, what I didn't get was something Jeff Senior was selling. Original Marvel UK cover. And not just any original Marvel UK cover, a fully painted original Marvel UK cover that Graham Thompson got, the bastard, before anybody else could see it. It's for issue 72, Ravage, eating Robot Master's costume. When you see it in the flesh, the texture of it is just amazing. And he just got in there first and grabbed it. That was so very annoying. I think we were all planning to do a murder of the Orient Express on him at the end of the convention. But luckily we all liked Graham. If it had been anybody else, if it had been me who got it, I would never got out of that convention alive. But luckily we were a nice man. So we were like, okay, we're all jealous, but we like him. And the other rare Marvel UK thing I saw was the original scripts to Space Pirates Part 5 and 6, which apparently became from Lee Sullivan originally via a few other journeys along the way. And they are incredibly fascinating because they have Richard Starking's and Simon Furman's handwritten annotations, which completely blow out of the water all the assumptions about how Richard Starking's edited the comic, because he himself makes it sound like, I was just there, like Simon was editing the book himself, he would buy me a pint and I'd say, go write some Transformers, and that would be all that I do. Turns out he was quite capable of writing copious notes in red inks on the strip. Soundwave doesn't talk like this. Could you not start a sentence with "and"? Could you not just have every box be a continuation of the same sentence? Maybe start a new sentence there. There's a sort of all sorts of basic editing and character notes. During the panel that Lee Sullivan ended up drawing as a Killing Joke homage, Richard Starkings has written in large letters "Killing Joke" across that panel. So presumably that was his idea originally, which I don't think anybody knew. And there's just all sorts of stuff like that in there, which that is going to be in Classics UK 6. And that is just an absolute goldmine of information. So look out for that. If you buy Classics UK 6 Reddit bin, buy for that. It will blow your tiny mind like it did mine. And of the other stuff of the card, the voice actor guests, all seem lovely people, but the highlight of them for me was Mark Ryan, who is just such an actor. He's one of those with 1,000 anecdotes. When you mention anything, he can tell a story about it. Just in the queue for him, I heard him talking about how Michael Bay has a full-size Bumblebee Camaro in his living room, and he made me take a piss when he said that, but I'm choosing to believe it. And he was talking to me, about when I said how much I like Jetfire. He was going, "Oh yeah, Jetfire, that was based on Ray Winston." And me and mates for years. Whenever Phil came out, Ray phoned me up and he said, "Oh, you bastard! So I'm a giant transforming robot, are ya? Am I now, hey, geezer?" In his distinctive Ray Winston voice. And just hundreds of stories like that. But made it an absolute pleasure to talk to him. And he was propping up the bar better than any of us at the end of Sunday evening. I think there was any burst of energy left in him. And the rest of the convention, I suppose, the big thing for me was being on a panel, a podcast panel, which, I was joking beforehand. I know nothing about actually making podcasts, so I just turned up and do the voice into a microphone. And other people, better people, edit it, do all the really good stuff to make it a good podcast. So I was feeling a bit sheepish about being on it. Luckily, I had just met a listener to Podcast Maximus beforehand, which sort of buoyed me up a bit, because we have listeners! Yay! We've got at least one. I still manage to balls up both the first thing and the last thing I said on the panel, and I sort of tried to develop a running joke about Marion and Tom being dead, which is why the words in the room. But I think I sort of run into the ground a little bit too much. But luckily, everybody else on our panel was great and helpful and useful, and I got to do some quite silly jokes. So I think it turned out okay in the end. The only thing I didn't do was praise Tom and Marion enough for all the work they actually do on the podcast. But hey, that's what videos like this are for. And we also did do a Podcast Maximus recording immediately afterwards as well. So I was pretty much talking for 2 hours straight. So hopefully that episode, which you will be hearing fairly soon, turned out okay. But I think I was just in that like a dog that had been left in a car in the sun with windows wound up by the end. But yeah, again, Tom and Marion were carried the weight of the podcast there, so it would probably turn out okay. And as all of that stuff meant that I didn't actually buy any toys till Sunday. And the toys I bought, the first one was Death's Head 2! Yay! He's a silly shit. He's a silly brilliant. It's just, the Death's Head 1 has a sort of classic timeless, chunky design. You could do a comic with Death's Head 1 looking exactly like that today. You could not do a comic with that in today. Look at his arse. Look how amazingly sculptured his arse is. Death's Head 2's counter model has a lot of time spent on his arse. That's an arse anybody would be proud of. But somehow it's just the fact that he is so wretched and terrible, I kind of love him. Can't keep him on the same shelf as the original Death's Head toy, though. That'd be a terrible, terrible accident. And when I eventually started buying toys, I got 2 purple guys. And one bit's just fallen off one. That's why I'm still holding him below the camera. That's my level of professionalism there. But MMC, Cyclonus, and Rodimus. That is such fun. I'm not a third-party expert, but I think that MMC are my favourites. All their toys, they're accurate to what they're trying to do. They have nice alt modes mostly. And apart from the Impactor, which I think now I've owned a few more of them, is a bit of the odd one out, they're all fairly easy to transform, which so many third-party toys aren't. So, occasionally the tabbing's a bit difficult, but otherwise, hey, this could be an actual Transformers toy. And of these 2, my favourites by far is the Rodimus. I'm guessing whilst the idea for him to have a new colour scheme as James's, that the actual colours were worked out by Joanna Lafente, and they just pop. They work brilliantly. I think they work better than the orange and yellow do on the mainstream release of that mould. So I'm really, really pleased with that. And with getting the box signed by James, Nick and Jack. Had a brain fart, forgot to get Alex Mills to sign it as well, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully him and Joanna Lafente as well at some point in the future. The other toy I got was the convention exclusive. which I saw a few people being down on because they don't like the look of the Bumblebee version of it, and I can see why they might not like it, because it is based very closely on the Don Figueroa War Within design, but like all of these sort of original designs, is about as wide as it is tall. That was sort of a little quirky characteristic of his. But if you sort of ignore the kibble, it's quite good fun. You know, it's a likeable little toy, and I've got no attachment to Glyph or interest in other convention toys, so it's just a nice, fun blue Bumblebee, basically. Certainly much better than the last Autumn Assembly exclusive of those two terrible animated toys. But on top of all that, of course, the other big thing in the card for me was selling my book. Yeah. Oh, yes, I've mentioned it a few times. That was pretty much the thing. Chasing around after people, making sure everybody got their copy. Making sure I didn't sell more copies of the overs that I brought with me than I actually had. I even had a lot of money about to carry my bags of stuff with very, very heavy books. It was absolutely worth it because everybody was so kind. Everyone was so excited. I got to meet new people as well through that. Hello, Inky. Off of Twitter, thank you for getting one off me, and Tricky as well from the podcast panel, and people I'm definitely forgetting. But so everyone was like, "Yay, fantastic, woo!" The people who started to read it, I know nothing but nice things back from them as well so far. So that's fantastic. It was a much, much harder book to do than the first one for whatever reason. So that was just an absolute blast and made it seem all worthwhile. Oh. And that's, of course, I've got to give thanks to Andrew Turnbull for, as well as having to work very hard, the animated comic, did all that work as well. He spent his own Another Time and Space Part 2. So hopefully he'll get the chance to finish that next year, Andy, because I didn't buy nearly enough points from the work he did on that. And I suppose sort of wrap up, what can be done better next year? Now, as I said at the start, most of the things that I would have said could be done better next year weren't done better at the convention itself. I think my only real issue was, as it often is, with the hotel itself. Basically, they did not have enough staff on for the weekend. And they were selling hotel rooms for these events months in advance. Most hotel rooms are gone for both us and the quilters. They knew how many, a minimum number of people were going to be at that hotel. They had no excuse for stressing out their staff. Their staff were incredibly miserable. I was walking past the cleaners in the halls of the rooms, and they were bemoaning their management loudly and viciously for not having enough of them. They should have got some agency people in to help with the overflow. And 2.5 hours after check-in, I got into my room. That's really bad for a hotel of that ranking. If it's not ready for your check-in time, then you should have issues. Especially as I didn't need to lie down by that point after that day's travelling. As an absolute... Really, and loads of other people weren't getting in their rooms until 2 hours after check-in as well. Especially, as that food email that was sent out, there was that, I assume, dictating by the Hilton, very strict things about where you can't eat your own food, you don't eat your own food in the room. Well, then you should let us get into the room. There's a handy hint there. And also, I assume it was a dictator from the Hilton thing as well, about not leaving rubbish of the food that you've eaten in your own room in your room, which was a ludicrous thing on their part. Never seen a hotel or anything like that before have any issues with you eating your own food in your room and putting rubbish in the bin. So when they take 2.5 hours to clean the room from previous occupants, that just... Boy, did I enjoy putting that banana skin in the bin in the room. So that's definitely something the hotel can and should do better next year. I mean, to be fair, lots of other people seem to have really nice accounts with staff. I guess it varied depending on how long the person had been working for. But when you're ordering drinks and you're getting the wrong drinks, or it takes 20 minutes to get coffee, whereas nobody else at the bar, that's categorically, and it's not the staff's fault, it is their management's fault for overstretching them. That's something that should be done better next year, or maybe even another hotel. I think the Hilton feel they have a bit of a monopoly on events like this locally. Maybe it's time to find out if there are other places in the country that can do it just as well. But in fact, yeah, and I guess that's not much of a mention itself to do about that. So maybe if the hotel itself gets feedback, they do ask for reviews, they can do that better next year. But other than that, everyone involved deserves real good thanks for doing it for such smooth organisation. I saw people like Adam White on Sunday morning had massive bags under his eyes. He was propped up on the bar. Billy, I didn't see at all. I think he went to bed very early because he'd been working so hard. Same goes to everybody else. Andrew Turnbull again, Isa, Tory, dozens of people whose names I'm forgetting or mispronouncing. They all did an amazing job, and I will absolutely be going to TFNation 2018. I'm looking forward to all the things they might do. I'm quite excited because the animated comic has been a success. What they might do next year for a comic. I'm going to say one word, folks: Earth Force. But it's left hanging. I mean, only me and Andrew Turnbull would buy that. It wouldn't be as big a hit, but come on, do it for us. What exclusive toys I might do? I look forward to not having to look so many books about. But of course, next year for me, the exciting thing is I'll be coming up to the end of Transformation. I only have a few weeks to go, so I may do something for that. Probably just gather as many readers of it as I can at the bar in one time and all have a drink. Something like that. And just really, really sold for it. And so that's been my first YouTube video with Absolute Age. Hopefully, half an hour. Good luck if you made it this far. As you can see, my professionalism has not increased for taking a break. But I hope everyone who went to TFNation had a great convention. I hope next year will be just as good. And I will try and do a YouTube video at some point before next year's. Be seeing you, folks. Have a good 2017.